Welcome back, everyone. I am elated to welcome an old friend, but new friend to a lot of you out there, activist, actress, host, media personality, connecting conversationalist, and spiritual advisor, Monroe Alise. Hey,
My God.
baby.
Hey, sugar.
Yes.
I am so happy you're here. I've been ready for this moment. So I'm gonna give a little background on how we met, Monroe, and then we can like kind of get into it. So
Oh,
we were a
my.
part of the wonderful Capital City Web Awards.
I
Pride
think
to
Yeah.
the first.
yeah, the
Yeah.
first Capital
Yeah.
City Web Awards was
Yeah.
done by our great friend Anthony
Yeah.
Anderson in
Yeah.
DC, who created the show Anacostia. And we met Monroe and we fell in love. He was so welcoming to the Pride team. That was one of, our first like really big festivals that we were all at together, where we all felt like we got the recognition, as actors and as actresses and just as performers and all around. And we
Hmm.
really felt
Mhm.
so lucky to be in a space where we felt seen. And you were a big part of that. So we want to tell you thank you
Oh,
so much for seeing us, for hanging
thank
out with us,
you.
and just for just overall making us feel welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Listen, I'm so grateful to be here. I know we had a good time. Child, that was back when I was with all the shenanigans, honey. Mama's changed now. I'm trying to live well, trying to live a little better.
Trying to live
You
right with
know,
the
just
Lord.
eat clean.
Because
Listen, that's
Uh-huh.
it. You know what I'm saying? Drink water and mind my business. You know?
Moisturized in my lane.
In my name.
Absolutely.
Unbothered.
So, we've told a little bit of how we met. So, Monroe, tell our listeners a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. So, definitely Monroe Alise. I'm a daughter. I'm
Yes.
a friend. I'm a sister. I am a human first, right? I'd like to start that way now, especially in the time that we're in, because I think oftentimes we like to be humans doing and not humans being, right?
Wow.
And so I have to be very cognizant of the way that I introduce myself as the human first, right? And then
Right.
how I show up for other humans as I show up for myself. I am a trans activist. I'm an LGBTQIA advocate. I am an actor. I am an entertainer. I am a media personality. I'm a spiritual advisor, a connecting conversationalist, right? Right now, I am working at NASM Inc. here in Atlanta. It is one of the oldest legacy nonprofit organizations that is servicing the LGBTQIA community. Been in business and around for over 35 years. They are the ones that are in partnership with TS Madison to bring the TS Madison Starter House. It is a program of NASM, and they service the community, making sure that there are equitable opportunities surrounding mental health, medical resources, STI screening, medicines, housing opportunities, just a holistic approach. And they've just decided to take a pivot around making sure that trans individuals specifically have the access in this time of erasure. So yeah, we're doing amazing work down here. So I'm excited.
That's amazing. Like you're just giving back to the community, you know.
Thank
It's like
you.
we were having a discussion about that at work. It was like we in the conversation, she was like, "We need to acknowledge our privilege right now."
Hmm.
Because we forget and we take it for granted, but we have the ability to give back to a community that one pretty much raised us,
Yeah.
you know,
Hmm.
made
Hmm.
us who we are. So yeah, that's amazing. Kudos, girl.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to continue to stay in a posture of servitude, right? And be
Mhm.
the example that I didn't see. I didn't have this when I was transitioning. For those that didn't know, I'm a woman of trans experience. I got to use that disclosure, because as clockable as I seem to me, honey, it seems like the people act like they don't know. So I got to let people know, like, oh, this cisgender woman is talking about trans rights. And no, no, no. I am I am a woman of trans experience. I'm a black woman first, but then I'm a woman of trans experience second. And so yeah, I'm just grateful that I'm able to not only stand on some amazing shoulders like Marsha P. Johnson, Sylvia Rivera, Miss Majors, Marissa Miller, the list goes on, but I'm also someone whom people, my trans and non-binary siblings, will be able to stand on my shoulders one day. And so I'm grateful.
Wow.
Mhm.
Thinking about changing lives, I actually want to point out something that actually I just thought of. Um, you helped a friend of mine back home, actually a friend of the podcast, Gwen Webb, when her mother reached out, Penny Webb, a very long ago,
Mm-hmm.
as Gwen was transitioning. And, I come from a little town, as people know who are listening, in East Texas, where there's a small community, and being other, as how they see us, is just
Yeah.
not popular. Being black, being gay, being queer, being trans, being lesbian, all of those things feel very foreign to them. And I think that
Mm.
they like to file a lot of things under gay, meaning if you are
Mm-hmm.
a man who is effeminate, you are just gay. If you are a
Mm-hmm.
female who are this, you're just gay. Like they don't know everything else that comes along with that, unless it's
Mm-hmm.
transgender, such as bisexuality, such as, the entire spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And so Penny was really, really feeling like she did not have the support of her community. And when I connected you both, she just really was like, wow, like I'm able to now speak to my child in a way where I understand them. And Gwen was able to
Oh,
come onto our podcast and talk to us a few years ago about how much that experience meant to her. So just know, you touch people in those small towns and
oh,
help them see themselves, because it's important for everybody.
yeah, absolutely. That means so much. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Saving lives,
Saving lives.
doing the thing.
Wow.
So,
So
Awesome.
I have a question.
Yes.
So in this current status of the world
Mm-hmm.
where specifically black women have a lot of them have decided to pick their soft girl, be in their soft girl era.
Mm-hmm.
So what advice do you have to like be in that soft girl era but still fighting the good fight, because you
Mm-hmm.
got to keep your peace of mind, and
Absolutely.
it's like we tried to tell y'all and we don't want to have to
Mm-hmm.
clean up this mess, but also you don't want to just
Mm-hmm.
roll over and not do
Mm-hmm.
anything. So how do you find that balance?
Absolutely. One of the things that I pride myself on in this life is that reminding myself that I am the most important person in my life.
Yep.
I'm the
Amen.
most important person in my life, and that if I don't do it, it does not get done. And especially in this critical and crucial time, I remind anyone that I come into contact with that you, especially my Black people,
Mhm.
especially my Black trans people, you are the most important person in your life. And if you don't do it, it doesn't get done. You have a right and a responsibility to
Mhm.
intensify your self care and keep
Hmm.
the main thing. Right?
Okay.
Like continue to keep intensifying your self-care and practicing unconditional self-acceptance. I personally had to divest from all of the things that I was seeing. And in my activism and my advocacy, it does not start and stop on social media. So I had to divest from some of the things that I was watching. I increased my escapism. Listen, let me watch some messy TV. Let me
Right.
read a book. Let me go
Yes.
for a walk. Let me live my normal life that is not centered around what is going on in legislation, what is going on in politics, because no matter how much they try to erase me on a piece of paper, my skin is still here. My life is still being lived, and I have to live it because life is for the living.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Amen. I
That
hear
is
that.
that is beautiful. And you bring up a good point. And I say this all the time on this podcast about how they literally tell us on planes, if something happens, put your mask on first. And
Mm-hmm.
people continue to believe that black people, black women specifically, should
Mm-hmm.
be continuing to save the world. And it
oh
like
my
that,
God.
like that thought process, as soon as they started coming for their people, the first thing they said is, and I saw it online, Kamala, why you ain't doing nothing? You said you had all these plans. And I'm like, right, but y'all didn't elect her. She's not president.
Right.
So
Well, what
so
the
Right.
I need to do
resting.
here?
They're like,
What
well,
does it
what is
matter?
that? They're resting. They did their job. Like, I don't know what you expect for black people, specifically black women, to do, but this is
Mm-hmm.
not back in the day where they're gonna take care and raise your babies. Like, we're not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
That
nobody's
part.
Mm-hmm.
putting nobody's putting your baby on their titty. We're done with
Ooh.
that. We're moving
Mm-hmm.
forward. So they too need to move forward.
One of my
Mm-hmm.
favorite things right now is Michelle Obama's just like entire attitude and demeanor
Mm-hmm.
towards anything political. Like,
Absolutely.
y'all have fun. Y'all know I
No, part of
I
it.
did my time.
Yeah.
I put in my efforts and I
Mm-hmm.
tried, and well,
I
get
told y'all
fucked.
we did. I mean, that's what even as a Latino woman, Eva Longoria talked about it on the video there. She said, "I
Uh-huh.
did my part." She said, like, we all did everything we could. Beyonce did everything she could. Everybody came
Absolutely.
out and did everything they could, and y'all still made a decision to do this. And now y'all like, well, can we go back? No, we can't go back.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
We can't go back. Y'all are the ones who wanted to go back. So guess what? Y'all back.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious,
Absolutely.
Monroe, how do you feel about the women going into space?
Ooh.
Spill the
So
tea.
no, so this is, it's so interesting to me because I think someone else asked me this. One, I think that I'm a firm believer in equity, period, all across the board. And I mean that, like, that's what true liberation looks like. You should have the right to do anything that I'm able to do, period. And listen, if that's what you want to do it. I think that when Gail and them went up there, and if they offering rides like Six Flags to space, if you have the capital and the resources to do it, and that's something on your bucket list, by all means do it. I think that that's something that we can now say more women went to space than men. We can now say that this is something that has happened. Listen, some people want to bungee jump. Some people want to ride bikes. Some people, there's always a level of risk that other people think is higher or greater or lower than the other. But I think that there is a historical piece around going to space. And when I heard Gail King talking about it the other day, talking about how they're trying to figure out a way to take the waste and the trash and things from here and like dump it on the moon. I think that we are, as a people and as a culture and as technology, we are advancing so much that they're trying to find ways and means to save us in a sense from different things. And I'm just like, I think that there's something more going on that we don't know about, and that's fine too.
Okay, well, so now that you mentioned it, like that sounds great.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah.
I hope that is what's happening,
I
and
hope
like
so
we're
too.
we're we're, we're finding alternative means of things.
Right, right.
How
Yeah.
Ashley brought this up one day, and she was like, "I think they're just trying to find somewhere where we can take all the rich people and get out of here."
100%.
Listen, I'm a girl who believes in a both and.
Uh-huh.
Like, yeah, if either we're gonna dump all the trash up there or we're gonna gather all our things and we're gonna go live up there. One of the two. Either,
Right.
Right.
listen.
I
Those
hope
are
they
the
don't think that
options.
we the trash. Cause
That we getting sent up there.
like I
Just
just feel like, and then people got all kind of theories. They're like, there was somebody already on the ship that opened the door. Like
yes,
they're like
100%.
they like the people who went up there didn't come back as different people. Like they
Oh,
were
I did see that they were replaced.
it's a lot, but I think I think it is important. You did bring up something I hadn't thought about before. There is more women who've now went. And this is a
Mm-hmm.
situation where you're like, okay, like if we're giving people this opportunity, I would also like to see that extended to more of our like, queer people. Like I love
Yeah.
seeing Black people go to space and doing that. And I think that shouldn't be, seeing Black and brown people go to that, because that is something that I feel like people don't think that we're allowed to do
Mm-hmm.
an opportunity like that, like going to
Mm-hmm.
space or like going into the ocean. That's usually no offense, a white person thing.
Yeah.
We don't explore the ocean
We
anymore because we found something down there so terrifying that they were like, "We got to go to space. Then we're gonna
yeah.
explore space."
Yeah, I
I
just hope that
mean,
they really.
Yeah, NASA used to explore the ocean.
the
Like,
ocean.
The ocean is terrifying.
yeah,
Yeah, listen, yeah, very much so. That
yeah.
is the one place, I have the most curiosity about the ocean. I have more curiosity about the ocean than I do the moon, even though they're so parallel. Like you need apparatuses and things to breathe and live there. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like I can't just exist there and be like, oh, this is nice, or no, I don't like it. I need something to literally breathe and hold me and keep me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Uh-huh.
But the ocean, it has so many different living and moving and listen, they say the bones is buried. No, the bones are in the water. You know what I'm saying? There's so many
Hmm.
secrets in the water.
Oh my
And
Yeah.
gosh.
That's why
just like
Titanic is such a big thing that people think about and that people really look at. I know we can't really get into it because Ashley hasn't saw it yet, but Sinners is something that has recently came
mm,
out. And
yeah.
we're not gonna give no spoilers. We'll still give y'all time, because the reason why we don't want to give spoilers is it is important for everyone to go see that movie. And there's a
Hmm.
particular scene in the movie where it just goes through history without
Absolutely.
that is just so
Mm-hmm.
beautifully done.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that's even more important. I was telling Adam the other day, the Mississippi Delta and the history of the Mississippi Delta is just so important to know
Mm-hmm.
about the Black people who were there, the Chinese American immigrants who were there,
Absolutely.
like that
Mm-hmm.
history, and then also the people who were queer who were there. There was a
Mm-hmm.
big reckoning in that area that people had to
Mm-hmm.
kind of come together and really learn about their future. And so, Monroe, something else that you do is act. And I know that
Again.
you have a lot of things going on there. So I want to bring up, you were in P Valley.
I
How
was.
was that experience? And will we be seeing you on this new season? And why, oh why does it take them so long to come out with a new season?
Oh Lord.
Oh
Screaming.
God, waiting.
Listen. Your questions are listen. Your guess is as good as mine. The experience of P Valley, right? I just want to like walk through,
Yeah.
how the power of manifestation has always reared itself in my life because I told the universe I was going to be on season 2 after I watched the first episode of season 1, right?
Wow.
And yes, and very much so. And I believed it to be true, and it happened. It was the best experience, one of the best experiences that I've had thus far. Being a fan of a project, and then you know how they like you know how society will have you believe that you're not supposed to meet the people that you idolize or you look up
Right.
to, and that is
Mhm.
Right.
not always the case, right? And like being a part of the show that
Mhm.
took the world by storm
Yeah, it did.
and then like going behind the curtain and seeing everything and it is as authentic, it is as welcoming, it is as queer, it is as safe and positive as it appears, right? As you hear the characters, you hear not the characters, but you hear the actors talk about, the environment and how family oriented, and we even coined the phrase family, the friend
Family,
family.
yeah.
Yeah. And it really is that. It really, really is that. It was one of the best experiences I ever had in my acting career thus far. And for it to be my first big acting experience, it set the bar completely really high. It was just super, super dope. And season 3. Yes, there is a season 3. Um, I believe you will see Monroe back on the character. Monroe, the character, will show up again. Maybe, I think that she brings some validity, and some grounding to the scenes. So I think that you may see her again. What I know to be true is that I had the honor and privilege of seeing the first 2 episodes, seeing the
Ooh.
screening. And I
Mhm.
don't know if I'm even supposed to be sharing this, but here we are. It's a safe space, right?
Yeah.
Of
Um,
course.
when I tell you it is worth the wait,
Oh, I love
it
that.
is
Okay. Okay.
worth the wait. I don't know, when it went off the air, Katori Hall, the creator and showrunner of the show, she said it was going to take a Mississippi minute, right?
Right.
And
Right.
we didn't. I don't think she anticipated, or maybe she is as clairvoyant. Because if you look at like the second season, like when it was airing, as we filmed the second season, like a year before it filmed, and
Mhm.
how when it came out, everything that was being aired was literally what was happening in the world, from mental health peaking and suicide and all of the things, and the queerness. And that was one of the first times people saw a mutually beneficial sex scene between 2 men that didn't involve prison. It was safe, it was all of the things, right? So there was so many different. I'm a fan of the show first, so I can go into the depths, but
Right. Right.
I
It's a
don't think that.
really good show.
Oh, absolutely. But I don't think that she realized that it would take this long. We had a strike that took place, and that there were a lot of things that pushed us back. And so the season is finished. And so I mean, I'm on the lookout for the drop date like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? But what I will say, trust and believe me, it is worth the wait.
I love that.
Okay. You
Oh, I'm
you
so
heard me.
excited.
I know. I'm super excited. I love that show so much. I go around the house all the time, like down in the valley where the bitches get naked. Like it is.
Hey,
It's so good.
yeah.
It's so good.
Bitches get
That's
naked.
my shit. It's so good.
So recently, T.S. Madison founded the T.S. Madison Starter House. You were the
Mhm.
grand opening speaker. How was that?
Mhm.
And are you like how excited are you to see change? It could
Mhm.
we were talking about earlier, like just giving back to the community.
Yeah, I'm super excited for the T.S. Madison Starter House. I can't mention the T.S. Madison Starter House without mentioning the cultural icon, my sister T.S. Madison.
Yeah.
But also two, mentioning Dominique Morgan, who is just a major philanthropist in the community and an overall activist and advocate and a champion of the trans community, right? And she had that amazing idea to really give back and find the fullness of what could be done. Madison had just purchased a new home and was trying to figure out what to do, and so she came up with this idea. She presented it to T.S. Madison, and Madison ended up agreeing to do that. And Dominique, in true Dominique fashion, made it come to life. She found and collaborated the partnership with NASM. And
Mhm.
that is how that was born. The T.S. Madison Starter House, for those that have not seen or that are not familiar with it, it will be a transitional home for Black trans women who are either coming from sex work, to either re-entry from prison, really helping them, stabilize out, if you will, giving them the wraparound services that they deserve when it comes to financial literacy, workforce development, mental health access, medical access, really giving them a holistic approach. Madison wanted to be sure that these women would have a fair chance of being productive and responsible members of society, and knowing that sex work or incarceration does not have to be your story forever, that you too can get from beyond that and get a business or really start the process of your healing. And so this space will be that for up to 5 different women to really stabilize out.
Ah, I love that.
That is so good. Because I don't feel like there are, well, I know there's not really a lot of places like that. And, I
Hmm.
worry in this current climate that we're in, are a lot of those places going to lose their funding? Are they going to shut
Hmm.
down? Are they going to, and I know there's a lot of LGBTQ plus kids that are scared. They
Hmm.
don't know
Yeah.
what's going to happen. I feel like we kind of got to the side of where we're a little bit older, we're a little bit grown. I'm still
Hmm.
scared, don't get me wrong.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
we know how to maneuver a little bit better. My concern
Hmm.
is those that are, still living with their parents and their families who don't
Hmm.
agree with their lifestyle, if they're in the
Mhm.
process of transitioning or coming out or whatever's going on.
Hmm.
And that worries me. And to know that, there are places and resources out there, which we can definitely, at the end of the interview, we want to see if you know any resources that you could
Hmm.
let people know. That would be really, really great because I think it's
Yeah.
important for them to know that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things, I mean, let's just really put the cheese on a cracker and spread it. When it comes to the LGBTQIA community, the trans community, my community specifically, is the one who literally gets the short end of the stick.
100%.
When it's time to rally and weaponize, when it's time to strategize and organize, honey, we at the front line. We threw the brick. We
Mhm.
doing all of the things. We're in the front of every movement. There are Black queer women in the front of every movement. Black Lives Matter was started by Black queer women, right? Um, and yet we are the ones that people forget to take care of in
Yeah.
this climate of erasure. Trans women specifically in leadership that are in nonprofit, that are in these organizations, asked our siblings to rally with us to fight this.
Mhm.
And we had to pull teeth for that to happen, right? And then when this administration started targeting gay marriage, now we getting tapped on our shoulders to, hey, come help us. We like, okay, now listen, because it'll start with us, but they gonna end it with you. And
Mhm.
so we
Exactly.
have
Right.
to hold our trans siblings up. We have to hold our Black trans siblings up. When Black trans women thrive, the communities are better. Life is better. And so we just have to remember that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That was definitely an interview, Adam, what we watched the other day. We were watching something, and they forgot. They literally said LGBTQ, And I was just like, damn, wouldn't it, we were watching The View? Actually,
Oh yeah, it
yeah,
was The
it
View.
was The View. There was like LGBTQ, and I was like, damn. Not only was it the last thing you said, someone had to remind you to say it. Like one of the co-hosts was like, it's the LGBTQ community, because they said every other community. They said, oh yeah, the LGBTQ, and it's like, damn, you still didn't get it right. And it's just like, you
Mm-hmm.
want to be an activist, you want to stand up, but you're talking about how you're an activist, and literally forgot it, was reminded, and then still left out the T. And like it wasn't even at the end or the beginning. It's dead in the middle, and you couldn't even get it.
Yeah.
It's so it's just it was very odd how that goes down. And you're right. Like it gets erased a lot, and I think it's important for people to continue to remind people who threw the first brick, who started
Mm-hmm.
Black Lives Matter, who
Mm-hmm.
started a lot of revolutionary things that have
Mm-hmm.
given people the right to have what they have now.
Absolutely. And when you look at the acronym, right? Like, and this may be just a little too deep for some folk, but I'm going to say it anyway. When you look at the acronym in a time like this, when they're trying to enforce that there are only two genders, when you have the UK who their legislation just passed that there is only two genders, and then when asked, well, how will the trans community be taken care of? Well, we'll be taken care of under the Discrimination Act. So you can recognize and acknowledge us in the Discrimination Act, but you can't recognize and acknowledge us in reference to there being multiple genders. Okay, got it. Now here we are with the acronym of the LGBT community, right? The T is the only one that is not a sexual orientation.
Mm.
Yeah.
Everything else is who you sleep with, but the T is who you are. So are you
Wow.
trying to erase who I am? Because it has nothing to do with who I sleep with. So it's a personal
Wow.
agenda. It's a personal attack, right? You can
Mm-hmm.
recognize that a lesbian is a woman who sleeps with women. You can recognize that a man is gay who sleeps with men. You can recognize that you're queer because you may be on the spectrum of one or the other, but you refuse to acknowledge and recognize that the authentic version of who I am is centered in my it's not centered in my orientation, but my gender expression. That's a problem for you. Got it.
Damn.
Wow, and that's how you clear a bitch.
I was like,
As
that's how you
Saucy
clear
Santana
it.
said, that is how you clear a bitch,
I
because
mean,
people are
what's the argument? What can you say to that? Like,
people can't say
you
no.
just laid it out.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Mm-mm-mm.
So it's
Damn.
unfortunate. So it is unfortunate. And so we must do the work, right? I believe we were having a conversation about privilege, right? And the privilege that we sit in. And we all have some level of privilege that we sit in, whether that is passable privilege, whether that is cis privilege, whether that is cis assuming privilege, because some people assume I'm a cisgender woman. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? Whatever that privilege is, we all sit in a level of privilege, but we have to more now than ever combine and weaponize our levels of privilege to protect everyone in the community.
Yep. Yeah. I
Absolutely.
eh,
We're given this platform, and
yeah.
it's like we need, yeah, like I was saying, we forget sometimes, but
Yeah.
We do, because I think that everyone gets comfortable in their skin and what they're doing, but there's so
Hmm.
many people out there that are hurting. There's so many people out there that are just really like struggling, and I think it's important for us to remind them, like, there's always somebody. There's somebody that's listening. There's
Hmm.
somebody you can reach out to, and someone that you can talk to. This is a really profound conversation. Ashley, I'm sorry, I know you have something you probably want to jump in with. Oh, oh, you went out for a second. I think it. 1 second, Ashley's coming back in. I think it went mute. Anyways, it's all listen, it's all good. I want to bring up something about the you being the first trans vocalist to perform at the White House during the Obama
Hmm.
administration at the
Hmm.
transgender community briefing of
Hmm.
2017. How
Yeah,
was that for you? Like, what was that a moment where you really felt seen the most? Like, how
absolutely.
was that for you? And Obama's, and is he as fine as he is in person? What?
I am screaming. It was such one, it was, it was, it was affirming. It was, it felt like a dream in a sense, right? To just even have this call to action take place and be invited into the White House. What I will say is that the Obamas were not there. They weren't there. They weren't present. But it still felt like we as a community was seeing, because even though it was the transgender community briefing, the LGBTQIA plus community showed up, right? And they welcomed us with open arms, and they were so respectful, right? And what I will say is that I wasn't the only vocalist that performed that was trans that day, but I definitely was one of them. And the song that I sung that day was "Ordinary People" by John Legend, right? Because at the end of the day, we all are just ordinary people trying to do extraordinary things, right? And that is just to live our authentic truths. And so, I had a time was had. A time
Oh,
was had. I tell you.
That is beautiful. There was a time I felt like people really wanted to visit the White House and people really
yeah, I
wanted
Hmm.
was
to
just gonna
to
say.
to, to go, and that was kind of like a cool because they used to do a lot of tours
Yeah.
and stuff. And now I don't know about that, even though it's a house that we built. And by
Yeah.
we I mean
Ah.
white people. But it's like boop, woo, it's like I don't even want to go into the house I helped build. It's like how that works.
Hmm.
I don't know if I'll ever visit the White House. And at this point, I have no like desire to.
Yeah.
But it's also like,
Yeah.
what am I going to do to get an invite?
Yeah.
I will
Hmm.
say, have y'all watched the show The Residents?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Love it.
so good. That
Really
did kind of
good.
make me want to go see the White House.
It did, the same for me, and I'm glad that you said that too, because that was literally what I was about to say in reference to when you saying like, do I even want to go? And I'm like, absolutely, I don't want to go in this administration. But my
Right.
hope is that I live long enough to see an administration that is affirming to my community, that not
Hmm.
only invites me but welcomes me with open arms. Like, come on
Yeah.
in, hey girl, what's up?
Yeah,
Yeah,
come,
sit
like that's what
down.
I want. Like the Residents, I watched it all when I was in Italy, actually, and it was a
Come on,
really good show. First of
Italy.
all, we love a good
Just
who.
drop a good Italy. We love a good flight. Come on, the children are taking flights
You
and
know, I was in Italy.
traveling.
Let me tell you,
Yeah.
the food, the men, the culture. It was great. It was great.
So
And,
good.
actually,
See, my order would have been different. It'd have been the men, the culture. You know what I'm saying?
just all the men. I mean, here's the thing. What was really interesting about Italy is, and I talked about this on the podcast when I was like talking about seeing yourself. I didn't
Mhm.
see many people that look like me.
Nope.
And
No.
Mm.
when I got there, and when I tell you, because I was there for a travel conference, and I walked in, and I was the only black person that was there who was a part of the travel community. Now, the few black people that I did see were servers, and they worked there, and they were,
Mhm.
cleaning up and things like that. And I wanted to make sure to acknowledge them because I think that
Mhm.
we all do it. Black and brown people do it
Mhm.
all the time. We walk
Yeah.
past each other and
How
we
you
look
doing?
at each
What's
other in our
up? You all
uncomfortable space.
right?
It's that
Yeah, the what's
The
up?
head nod.
how you
Mhm.
doing? It's the and I wanted to see them and I think it and I could see this guy who I did that to. I saw him a couple of times and he was just like, "It's good to see you again." He kind of patted me on the shoulder because for him it was like, "Oh, thank God!" Like because those
Mhm.
spaces are very uncomfortable to be in when you
Mhm.
are by yourself. It is very very
Mhm.
uncomfortable. So we
Mhm.
speak to that not just as black people, as queer people,
Yeah.
as trans people, as gay people. Like when you enter those spaces and it don't feel good.
Right.
And you're like,
Mhm.
Hmm.
I don't feel like I should be here. And then you're kind of looking over your shoulder, like, what's going to happen
Mhm.
next?
Right.
Mhm.
That's why we have the like not burden. What's the word I'm looking for? It's like we have the responsibility
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
create safe spaces and make
Hmm.
people feel accepted and wanted and warranted and loved and welcome.
Yeah.
You
The
know?
importance of DEI.
Hello.
The importance of DNI. And it's crazy they wanted to get rid of something that served them more than it ever did us.
And it's still serving
Okay.
them now, because I
It
don't
was
know anyone that's qualified that he has appointed in the White House now.
it literally has helped them. Like, first of all, it started because white women complained that they were not paid enough at work and could not get these high ranking jobs, and then they
Oh
created
my.
for them. And then Greg Abbott was from Texas, was like, I want to get rid of it. It's like, so how you gonna roll up in your wheelchair? Like, that's part of diversity, equity, inclusion. Like,
Right.
y'all are literally getting rid of the thing that has helped y'all, because every diversity, equity, and inclusion group that I was a part of at my job was ran by a white person. It was ran
And I
by
think.
a white woman or a
Huh.
white man. They're not
Mhm.
usually
Hmm.
ran by people of color. So I don't understand why they cancceled their jobs, not ours. They're the ones
Right.
who
because when
committed. They the
be,
ones who got fired from their own job.
Yep.
because when they hear DEI, they hear black. They don't hear
Yes.
diversity, equity, and inclusion.
They
They
hear
hear
black,
black,
gay.
brown. Uh-huh. That's
That's what they
it.
hear, and I'm like, baby,
Mhm.
y'all the ones. So now all these white women is like, where we gonna work at? I guess the house. That's what you want.
Yeah.
That is
What you
what you
want?
wanted. Well, listen, we have one last question, and then because we can do this all day because I love talking to you and I love Kikiing. But first, we want to congratulate you on being one of the speakers at World Pride 2025 and being featured for DC Black Pride and Trans
Thank
Pride this year as
you.
well.
Thank
What
you.
will your speech entail? Can you give us a little bit of intel of what your speech is going to sound like, and how can people take part in supporting you?
So what I will say is that my my speech will it will acknowledge the climate that we are in.
Mhm.
It will be solutions in the face of fear. That is one of the panels that we are bringing.
Mhm.
And it will be how to, I'm trying to not give too much away.
I know. Hey,
But what I
that's
will say,
a tease is good. A tease.
yes, what I will say is that it will be something that we all do and we have been doing since the dawn of time, right? And how we continue to do that moving forward.
I love that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I
and
love
in
that.
and in support, definitely show up if you have the capacity to do so, right? We
Yeah.
will also be having the trans visibility march as well. So if you have the capacity, and all of these things will be a lot of the things that are going on that week for World Pride will be policy and strategies and how to maneuver if you are a community-based organization or if you are just someone who's looking for a community in this time, right? Because that's the biggest piece of surviving this mess because we've been here before.
You have
We
been here.
have been here before. Black people have been here before. Queer
Mm.
people have been here before. And listen, this is just something that we're going to survive and thrive through again. And so, yeah, I want people to, if they have the capacity first, you got to check in with yourself, right? Because you
Mhm.
can't show up and support and have nothing for yourself when you leave. So, you gotta check with yourself and see if you have the capacity to show up. And if you can, realize and recognize what showing up looks like for you, whether
Yeah.
that's resharing the post, resharing the flyer, leaving a comment, whether that is donating time, whether that is donating money, whatever that looks like for you, right? You got to show up in the best capacity that still honors you and makes you feel well. You can follow me on social media, Monroe Alise. Yeah, definitely, definitely. Any way you bless me, I'll be satisfied.
I love that.
Mhm.
That
Mhm.
is, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for
Absolutely.
blessing us with your presence, blessing the world of pride. And what is it? Do we have a question for her to end with?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think we
yeah.
do. What is that?
So we ask all our guests, what does pride mean to you?
Hmm. Pride means to me, pride to me means being able to look at myself in the mirror with no makeup, no wig, just in my authentic truth and like what I see, and be proud of what I see, be satisfied, be content, recognizing that I'm enough with what I see in that moment. Yeah.
I love that.
Beautiful.
Thank you
Just
so much.
beautifully
And y'all heard
spoken.
it first here,
Thank
sugars. I'm gonna
you.
take your word because it's my favorite thing you do. It is my favorite thing you do. Make sure you follow Monroe on social media, as she said, at Monroe Alise. Thank you
Hmm.
again for joining us. And we
Thank
will see
you.
you guys right after this break. We'll be right back.